What happens if you owe the IRS? Let's talk about it a little bit. Don't be scared. Have no fear. Your tax person is here. It's not really scary to owe the IRS. You just have to make sure that you're proactive about paying them back. And, if there's a mistake that you did, or if there's something that you just didn't know about, we can find ways to work with the IRS to lower those liabilities. One thing I will tell you is that interest will never go away. If you are sure you owe this money and you have incurred interest, that's the most hardest thing to get rid of. Penalties, we can absolutely work with the IRS and try to remove some of the penalties that you have, but you want to make sure that you're proactive about it. I have clients all the time that they get letters and they keep getting letters and they keep getting letters, and then they don't tell me about it. And then right when their account is levied, they want to fix it. No. The IRS has already told you you're in trouble and you did nothing about it. So that's when they take control. Don't let them have the control. Be proactive. You can have control from the start. Just make sure that you are aware of what you need to do in order to make sure that you pay the least amount. So let's talk about the most common things that happens when you owe money. Let's say you filed your tax return and you forgot to include a W-2 or a 1099 form or income that doesn't match your bank statements. So what'll happen is that the IRS will send you a letter saying, hey, looks like you missed a couple $1,000 here. You owe us this much. They will give you time to correct it. And I suggest you take that time seriously. You can work with your accountant or the tax professional that handled your tax return and work with them. You can take the time to work with your tax professional to be able to correct that. Most of the times, what you probably just need to do is make an amendment or do an amendment. Now remember that if you got a letter from the IRS, that means that you probably need to fix something with your state return. So make sure that when you work with your tax professional, that you're doing both in conjunction. Because if one is wrong, then they're both wrong. Another thing that's very common is that when a couple gets married and one of the spouses has a high tax liability and they didn't let their other spouse know. So what happens is that IRS sees now that there's two incomes in this tax return. And let's say the irresponsible spouse doesn't take care of their tax liability, and now they have more income from this other spouse. They will go after that spouse and they will start garnishing their wages. At this point, it gets a little bit more complicated, and you want to make sure that you seek a tax professional or an accountant that can help you properly with this mistake. What needs to happen is you probably need to fill out a form called the injured spouse form, which relieves tax liability from the injured spouse, the one that's now incurring this tax liability that wasn't theirs to begin with. And so there's a whole process that goes with it that is best handled by a professional. But just a tip that if you are going through that, this is a step that you can take. Let's go back to what happens when you do owe the IRS. You want to make sure you take care of that as soon as possible. The IRS is scary. Yes, we all know that, but don't be scared. There's options that we can do now, and it's so much more easier. One thing that I recommend is creating an IRS tax account. You can go directly to irs.gov and it'll tell you right there, create an account. What'll happen is that once you create that account, and it'll take a few minutes, so make sure you have some time, probably about 15 minutes. When you create that account, you're going to see a history of all your tax filings, and if you owe taxes, it'll give you the option if you qualify for a payment plan, that's where you can apply for that. So instead of calling and being 2-3 hours on the phone, you can do it from a computer and it'll be a lot faster. It'll give you the amounts that you need to pay. It'll give you the time of length that it'll take you to pay it, and it'll send you reminders of when your payment is due. You can also set up an automatic payment through your bank account, which makes it so much more easier. I also want to mention that sometimes we see these advertisements of these programs out there that'll eliminate your tax debt or that will get rid of it for pennies on the dollar. While there is ways to work with the IRS, there isn't a program that completely eliminates your tax liability. There's ways that we can work and negotiate with the IRS, but there is no program that's going to completely eliminate your debt. So work with somebody who knows tax law and that it can help you really strategize and negotiate with the IRS. So to recap here a little bit, you have options. Don't be scared of the IRS. Make sure that you are proactive and you are paying attention to those notices. Create your IRS account to make sure that you can put a payment plan in place. And always make sure you consult a tax professional before giving your money away to these advertising companies. I'm going to include the link where you can create your IRS account. And if you like this content, please follow along and I'll see you in the next video.